Hi, this is Steve from MMA Mania.
Hey, Brandon, you're on with Steve from MMA Mania.
Hey, Brandon,
Okay.
I know you're having a really busy day today, but I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure, bro.
Last time, you knocked out Derek Campos in just 37 seconds. Are we going to get a repeat performance of that here in Thackerville?
I mean, I'm aiming for it. I'm definitely going out there to take him out as quick as possible. But say I'm going to get him in 37 seconds again, that's going to be a little foolish thing to think for sure.
Right. You've got to be happy knowing that you're tied in the series now with that win, and going into this rubber match, you might even have a psychological edge.
Oh, I absolutely believe I do. Anytime you lose, like if a fighter loses like that don't go away. Like that's going to be in the back of his head for sure.
Well, you did say losing when you lose doesn't go away, so I have to ask you about Bellator 174. And much like your first fight with Derek Campos, your opponent missed weight. So do you even count that as a loss when it was supposed to be welterweight and then it wasn't?
I mean, it's a loss, but there was a lot of factors in that one that I didn't, it hit hard because it was a fight I thought I won, and definitely with all the weight issues and things like that, I went up, I fought a much bigger man. I weighed in on that fight at 165, he weighed in at like 174, and there was a lot of factors in that fight, but, you take away from what you can.
For what it's worth, when I scored the fight, when I was doing it live, I had you winning at least the first round and at least halfway through the second round. So the second round could have gone either way. It was only in the third round that I think that weight difference just really started bearing down on you.
Yeah, absolutely. It came to be with, I haven't been wrestling like that. And when you go in there, you take a guy down 10 times, I've never done that in my career. It definitely caught up to me in that third round. And, played a little factor in my head. I thought I won rounds 1 and 2. I even remember in the middle of round 3, I thought to myself, I'm winning, but I'm like, don't give him a 10-8 round because he was hitting me a lot. And I was like, I remember thinking that you gotta, don't give him a 10-8. So it was definitely a tough fight. I mean, after rewatching, I still felt like I won, but the second round was definitely a close round. I can see people going either way on it.
Well, you talk about the 10-8 possible scoring. You could have gotten a 10-8 just as easily for that first round with all those takedowns, and yet I don't think the judges gave you that.
That's the crappy part with judges. You don't know what they're looking for. There's no unified way to judge a fight, I guess, and I felt, it's called mixed martial arts, and when you dominate somebody in one category, I feel like it should show for something, in that first round, I took him down 3 or 4 times, and I was hitting him, and he didn't even, I watched it, when I watched it again, he maybe kicked me 1 time, so it was a hard fight to swallow, especially, one of those judges gave him rounds 1, too, so it was like, what was that person watching?
Yeah, that was inexplicable to me. I remember there being a 30-26, and I went, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
There's no one way to judge a fight, but that judge, don't let him judge any fight.
Yeah, I feel like something like that person should never be allowed to judge a fight again.
Agreed completely. But now you're getting a fresh start and you're going back to lightweight, so does it change your training camp at all now that you're not going up in weight, or is it the same as before?
It's definitely the same as before. I go in there to fight my fight. When I don't fight my fight, and that's aggressive, taking the shots when they're given, for takedowns. It doesn't turn out well for me. I'm an aggressive fighter. I'm an emotional fighter. I go in there to take somebody's head off. And when I try to do a different kind of smart fight, it never turns out well for me.
Well, speaking of aggressive fighters, I believe Campos was originally supposed to face Patricio Pitbull, and he pretty much fights that same style, coming forward aggressive, looking to take your head off every time he swings. So he spent a lot of time training for a different fighter, but yet you both fight the same way.
Yeah. I think on the feet, me and Patricio, it's the same, but the difference is I'm an all-around fighter. I take people down. I throw hits. The fight can go either way. I have no game plan. I'm not thinking I'm going to take Derek down. When I get takedowns, they're because they're open. I took down Gonzalez 10 times because they were wide open. I wasn't planning on just keep taking them down like that. It was just instincts take over and they come.
Well, you go where the fight leads you, and if it leads you to those takedowns against Campos, you'll take them, and if it leads you to another 37-second knockout, you'll take that too, whatever works.
Absolutely.
So, do you feel like following this huge Bellator pay-per-view that we just had with Chael Sonnen, Vanderlei Silva, Matt Mitrione, Fedor Emelianenko, do you feel like a little bit of the spotlight got diverted from what should be a really important fight?
No, I don't think that. I think if anything that last card brought maybe a few more Bellator fans, that will be tuning into their next card, which is me and Campos. I think it was a great card, and I feel that, like I said, maybe we got some new fans that are now tuning into the next Bellator card.
And maybe the other benefit of it is with Brent Primus winning the lightweight title, that just opens up the division for all kinds of new challengers now.
Yeah, absolutely, it does. I mean, the fault on that is I feel like there's going to be an immediate rematch.
Yeah, it does kind of seem like with the fluky way that Chandler got injured, they almost have to run that one back again.
There's no argument for me on that. Obviously, I don't like to see that just because it backs it up a little bit, but I definitely see why they would do that.
What were your personal thoughts watching that fight? Do you feel like Chandler could have still continued, or do you think that stoppage came at the right time?
It was hard to watch a man sit there and hobble on a leg, but he never stopped. He didn't stop. He never looked at the ref to ask him to stop it. He never did any of that. So I feel like let the men fight. It was gruesome. It was hard to watch, but I never saw one moment where I saw Michael Chandler hesitate to keep fighting. He kept trying to fight. I don't feel like it should have been stopped. Now, if it went in, if the round one was over, then maybe the ref can come over and ask for a doctor to look at, just like a gash in the eye or whatnot. But I feel like he should have been given the chance to fight that round through. He was fighting. Why would the ref stop it?
True, and you can also argue that even with that injury, he was still really hurting Primus. He landed a very clean right hand that had him wobbled.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like I said, the ref should have let the fight continue. I don't think you call in the doctor in that moment because I don't feel like Chandler ever gave any reason for him to stop. I know he couldn't plan on it, but Chandler never looked at the ref. Chandler never did anything like that. He kept going.
You know what? At least if he was going to come in the way he did in the middle of that round, he should have been more decisive about it. Because you don't stop it for an injury and then decide whether or not the fighter can continue. If you're stopping it for something being broken, wave off the fight immediately. Don't leave the commentators guessing what's going on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There was definitely some weirdness going on. I mean, that's not how it works. You don't see that. You don't stop it for that reason and have it keep going.
Right, you can stop it to check a cut, but you can't stop it to check a broken leg. If it's broken, it's broken.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, well, it's unfortunate the way that turned out, but like you said, a rematch is in the offing. But you know what? I don't mind if you end up getting in contention and you have to wait for them and you're next, because then I know you'll bring an exciting fight to either Primus or Chandler, whoever you'd get.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I'm coming in there to explode, man, and that's to take someone's head off, that's for sure.
So we can just look back on the Fernando Gonzalez fight as a weird judging decision, but what about the Pickle Re fight? Do you have any regrets from that one, or do you feel like he was just a stud on the rise and caught you at a wrong time?
I definitely had some regrets. It was a fight I definitely wasn't, not that I wasn't ready for Pickle Re, but I wasn't ready to commit to my knee at that time. That whole camp I did zero wrestling and zero jiu-jitsu, and pretty much all I focused on was not re-injuring my knee, and that's not a way to go through camp. And if you're not confident in yourself or in an injury, then you're already losing. And we saw that I wasn't aggressive for the first 2 rounds, and that's not how I fight.
Well, I think we saw that everything was 100% with the Gonzalez fight, because even though that didn't go your way, you were aggressive in that fight, and you weren't shooting like your knee was hurting, so it clearly was 100% for that.
Absolutely. I mean, if I take anything away from the Pickle Re fight, it showed me that my knee was good.
So now everything's 100 and you're ready to go, and it's going to be an exciting fight in the main event here in Thackerville. But Brandon, before I let you run, I want to give you this chance like I always do. Sponsorships, teammates, plug whatever you'd like.
Well, teammate-wise, just, tune in, it's the other team, but tune in to my boy Justin Gaethje's main event on July 7th. It's going to be a hell of a fight, and He's my dude that's been getting me ready. Sponsors wise, Charlotte's Web is a huge company that does so much for kids these days, that is helping kids actually live some lives. And then my sponsor, Bad Boys.
Real quick, since you brought his name up, and I don't want to let that opportunity go, I had many great conversations with him when he was the World Series of Fighting lightweight champion. So how good do you think his fight with Michael Johnson is going to be?
I think it's a perfect matchup for him, man. I think Michael Johnson's a guy that can be hit, and he's not going to go away. It's no fight like that, and he's not going to just try to take Gaethje down and slow that striking down. So I think it's going to be an electrifying fight, man, and you're definitely going to see an amazing fighter in Gaethje.
Yes, and if there's one thing you two have in common, and it's not just from training with each other, but in your fighting style, very aggressive, very come forward. So anybody who's not seen Gaethje or listened to my previous interviews with him, watch out for this dude. He's one bad mofo.
Absolutely.
But so are you, Brandon. So thank you so much for the time today. Have a great fight with Derek Campos in Thackerville. We're really looking forward to it.